Cool, so here's the setup video to deploy a full node on AWS for GNOME. You obviously need to make sure that you clone this repo, and then the first thing you need to do is deploy this CloudFormation template so that you can get the keys for the necessary access to deploy the node to your AWS account. So just open CloudFormation. You need to make sure that you selected EU West 1. You're going to create the stack. You need to go to that specific template folder inside of the cloned repo. So I'll just go choose file. I obviously already cloned this repo. This is the file gnoup role.yaml. This is going to give the necessary keys in order to deploy the node from the Docker container. So you can just give it whatever name. Call it that. And all that's not necessary. So cool. The next thing then is that you need to make sure that you got Docker installed so that you can go on to the next steps. So after you've gone ahead and done this, you need this command over here, and go into the directory of the cloned repo, and just paste that command as is. That's gonna go ahead and build the Docker image. Okay, cool, so you give that some time to run. Let's see how far this deployment is with AWS. Okay, cool, it's done. So inside of your outputs, we'll get your secret and access key that you're going to use when you configure your AWS CLI from the Docker container. The Docker container has everything installed already, so you don't need to worry about installing anything. As far as what you're going to require to deploy this entire node to your AWS environment, everything's already set up. To maybe just go through the functionality of the repo. The infrastructure as code is over here in the Terraform directory. That's going to go and set up like the infrastructure itself for the node. And then the configuration as code will be in the form of an Ansible playbook. Right now it's not implementing roles as yet, but it works. I mean, it's just one huge playbook that has everything in that's required to allow you to have a full node on AWS for GNOME. Cool, how about far is this? So of course it's worth it to wait for all of this, right? Because you won't need to do any configuration on your host machine. All you need to have is Docker installed. That's it. And then you make use of the CloudFormation, the output, the keys, which is the secret and access key to give the access to your AWS account. And that's it. From there, you just run the automation. The automation utilizes the infrastructure and configuration as code and deploys a full node for you with observability integrated as well, like with Prometheus and Grafana. Cool, so the image is finished building. So like, yeah, like just make you a coffee or something. Go build the image, have a coffee, come back, and then it should be done. Ready for the next step would be just copy and paste this command. Just gonna run it. We'll see the image. There it is. Let's run this. Boom. We're in our container. So now the next step from there would be to run the automated deployment script. So just copy that command again, paste it. Does all the magic it needs to do. Okay, it's asking for the access key, so now you just go to the outputs of your CloudFormation deployment, get the access key, paste that, secret key, paste that, default regions already set, JSON, here we go. Now it's going to start doing, it's asking how many nodes I want. So it can deploy 1 to 20 nodes with the full observability and everything. The reason why it's capped to 20 is because if you want more than 20 EC2 nodes with AWS, you need to ask for a limit increase. But for now, I guess I'll just make it 2 just to show like, okay, you can do 2. But you could do up to 20 and it would deploy all of them. Cool, and now what it's doing is going first to the infrastructure as code. So it's running the Terraform. That's going to set everything up inside of AWS. And then from there, it's going to go and go into the configuration as code with Ansible. So let's just see the next step over here. So all of the node itself, when it gets deployed, it leverages some SSM. So this Ansible playbook, if you check it out, you'll see that it makes use of AWS Dynamic Inventory. And it uses keys on the tags to get that access. So that's why it's dynamic and works so swiftly. So cool, now just basically have to sit back and let it deploy how many ever nodes you want. Perfect, so now we're gonna get to the point where we're gonna be using Ansible. It creates a dynamic name for the bucket that the SSM is going to use from the playbook to ensure that it's random, because S3 bucket names are unique and global. So this deployment generates a unique bucket name for each deployment, so many people will be able to use it, and it would do that. The reason we wait for the SSM agent is for it to come online inside of the EC2 instance, the node. I'm giving it some time to be ready, and once it's ready, we will then go ahead and start the configuration as code process, which is what you're seeing now. So this is the Ansible playbook that's running and doing all the stuff it needs to. I think for now, maybe I'll just get me another coffee. Perfect, so the node is done deployed, the two nodes, there are the instance IDs as you can see. You can go into your AWS EC2 console, make sure that you had EOS1. These are the two nodes. If you specify more nodes, it'll just go all the way up to 20. You need to grab your public IP address for your instance, and then that way you can access Prometheus and Grafana. It must be from the machine or from which you did the deployment, because it uses that IP address. So you can see here is the Prometheus, everything's up on the targets running. And then for Grafana, you got your dashboards up as well. Here's the node exporter. And then also, if you want to get into your instance, you can do that from your Docker container as well. So like for example, you can use this SSM command over here. So I'll just copy that command, target, paste it. I'll be able to access it directly from the container. Grab this instance ID, and that should get me directly into the instance. Perfect, so there I'm inside of the instance now. So with SSM, you typically want to make sure that you sudo su, and then you want to go into all the way to where the home directory is, and there's everything. So the specific one, this way it's set up, there's some TX tools over here. You can mess around with or create your own tools there. And then we can go to logs, just put the node logs at the moment here. So you can do tail -f, and you'll get the node logs coming through. This could go to Loki and stuff like that as well for Grafana, just to make it easier to look at. And then like with the TX tools, for example, go in there as well and just do a tail -f on the TX tools. And there you'll have that as well set up, and you can do some stuff with it. So that's just an example of how you can kind of customize some stuff, and that's it. That's how you can get your setup for up to 20 nodes for GNO on AWS. And all you need is a Docker container and an AWS account. gnoup. Yeah, so for the cleanup, you just want to be inside of the Docker container. You need to be and then you want to go to, actually no, I'm still inside of the EC2 instance, so I need to get out of there. I think I'm inside, I need to exit that again. The decision there, I'm inside of the Docker container. Terraform AWS. You can see there's your state over there. You just do Terraform destroy, and that's it, and it will destroy whatever was deployed with Terraform. Of course, you can improve it with state management and so forth, and do some automations around that as well. That's just another thing you can do to